Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Screenland. A day late and $1 short, as is often said, but here we are. No guests this week. Bit of an interesting week this week. No guests, primarily because my house is currently a bomb site. No, it's not. We're getting work done in the house, and I can't really bring people over because there are builders coming in and out of the house every 5 minutes. B, there's dust everywhere. C, they are going pretty much all day with, drills and hammers and, all that kind of jazz. So can't really get any recording. Like, I'm literally recording this at like 5 to 8 in the evening, and, can't do that. So can't be having people over at this hour of the night. That's not cool. But so there we go. But look, listen, don't worry about it. It's not going to be a problem. I have enough movies to cover the entire hour. It's more just as my voice going to last the hour, because the amount of dust that I am inhaling from just being here is kind of incredible. But yeah, fuck it. Let's get into it. So, the first thing I have up for discussion is TRON Ares. Now, to begin with, okay, I personally have found TRON to be kind of just as an entity, as an intellectual property, fucking weird. All right, fair enough. TRON Legacy was, everyone talks about the album, everyone talks about Daft Punk, everyone talks about what Joseph Kosinski did, the visuals of it. The original one, the one in 1982 with Jeff Bridges, was, okay, fine, yes. At the time, groundbreaking, special effects. People were talking about it as, this pioneering work of art and all the rest of it. I totally understand that. Totally understand its place in history. Totally get why people were going balubas for TRON Legacy. Makes sense. Looks great and all the rest of it. But you have to admit, okay, as a technical achievement, the first TRON, absolutely. As an entertaining movie, kind of sucked ass. And you could almost apply that kind of qualifier to TRON Legacy as well. Is yes, the music is great. Yes, it looks great. But as a movie, as an entertaining story, I mean, I couldn't tell you what that film is about. Could not tell you. I know it's about the digital world and stuff. I know it's about Jeff Bridges' son, played by Garrett Hedlund, is going to look for his father went missing, and he's gone looking for him and stuff like that. And there's some sort of power struggle or something going on in the grid. But specifics of it, couldn't tell you. Any specific line of dialogue in it, couldn't name it for you. Can name all the songs, D-Res, End of Line, Solar Sailor, all the songs from the Daft Punk album can totally point to. And even Michael Sheen kind of doing David Bowie in it. I can think of that, but as an actual, I can remember the visuals. I can't remember the story. I can't remember the script, but I can remember other points to it. So going into TRON Ares, I was very much of the opinion of, all right, did I really need to see this? Yes, I love Nine Inch Nails. Yes, I am excited to see what they do with this. But the fact that you had Joachim Ronning, who did such groundbreaking cinematic achievements as Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, not the first one, the sequel, that I think it has just been zapped from people's brains. And he also did Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, which I think was the one with Paul McCartney in it, but I can't be sure. My point that I'm trying to illustrate here is that the guy's basically just the studio hack that Disney have had on contract for the last few years. And they kind of like, you know, if there's something that they haven't been able to get over the line, they bring him in and he just sort of just, you know, traffic cops the thing to the end, you know, to the release date. He's not putting anything particularly interesting in it. He's not doing anything particularly memorable. He's just like, hey, we've got to get this out. We've paid for all the merch. You know, the theme park's been built. We just need this finished. So go in there and just finish it. And he's the guy for them. Like, he's not a Joseph Kosinski. Like, he's not this hyper aesthetically minded director. He's a hack, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not against hacks. Like, you know, John Badham, you know, who did Saturday Night Fever, also did fucking War Games and did Stakeout. You know, you can be a craftsperson when it comes to directing, but in the case of Wokem Running, I think I honestly just think he's like, I've got a pipeline here and I'm just working it, and that's all I'm doing here. And, you know, like, talk about the cast. Okay, so Jared Leto is an interesting choice to play a AI super soldier. You know, he's really just kind of reheating his performance from Blade Runner 2049, you know? Greta Lee, great actor, you know, my God, the things I could say about past lives, really feel like she's gone places. This, however, is just like a blip, I think, on her way to something great, something, you know, lasting, like really kind of like she's going to be in this for a while, you know? And then even go into, like, you know, Gillian Anderson or Evan Peters or Jodie Turner-Smith, or even when Jeff Bridges turns up. It's all just very, everyone's moving, everyone's running, everyone's trying to get to a place, everyone's doing something. It's all rah, rah, rah. But it's so empty. It feels so soulless. And here's the thing, right? Tron Ares is basically like AI. And the film is about AI. But no one really wanted it. No one really cares about it, other than a couple of freaks. And, you know, it's been forced upon us. No one has asked for this. No one wants this. Yet it's there, and we all just have to kind of get on with it, I guess. That's how it feels watching this. You just have to kind of get on with it. It's not slop. Well, it is kind of slop. You know, the thing about AI art and AI art in the biggest inverted commas you can find, right, is that it looks kind of okay. It looks fine. It's passable. You're not looking for anything. If you use AI to generate a logo, for example, and you say, I want it to look like, you know, something funky and, you know, weird and funny, and it has to be in the shape of a bucket, you will get something approximating that. And they'll be like, yeah, that's what I wanted. That's fine. Slap that on the flyer for this thing, you know? Like, it's never going to create a lasting piece of work, because it's the work that it always generates is always passable. That's Tron Ares. So annoyingly passable. It's not bad enough to be interesting, and it's not good enough to warrant its existence, so you're just left with it. I mean, okay, the soundtrack is good, I guess, but that's not enough. You know what I mean? That's not enough. I mean, Tron Legacy had the visuals and it had the soundtrack. It didn't have the script. This doesn't have the script, barely has the visuals. It's kind of got the music, I guess. Like, it kind of feels like, you know, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross went in there and they were like, okay, you know, in this scene we're going for, it's a chase sequence, but I want it to be much more kind of steady beat. Grand. and then he goes off and writes a song, and it then just kind of gets matched to the visuals. Or sorry, the visuals get matched to the song, but it doesn't it just kind of fits, but not really fits. I hated it. I mean, I just got to be honest with you. I just didn't like it. And that's the thing, because it's not bad and it's not good. It's just meh. And that's not Tron. That, you know, like, it should hit you right back in your seat, and it doesn't. So that's Tron Ares, I guess. Okay. Next up, the other thing that I saw this week, I actually saw this last week, but it's in cinemas. It's gotten a wider release this week, and then it'll be on Netflix the week after next. House of Dynamite, directed by Kathryn Bigelow, stars Rebecca Ferguson, Idris Elba, Jared Harris is in there, Tracy Letts is in there, and you know, and it's written by Noah Oppenheim as well, who did what was that? He did something. It was a fucking documentary. I think it was like a time. It was the one about. It was like a documentary or something. I'm looking it up now. Talk amongst yourselves there. Hold on. Television producer. Oh yeah, that's right. He was the president of NBC. Yes, NBC News. Yeah, that was it. And he did. Yeah. Oh, he was involved in that. Right. Okay. Well, fuck. And he co-wrote the scripts for Maze Runner and the Divergent series Allegiant. Oh, and he did Zero Day. Oh, yeah, that thing. Jesus, yeah, that was kind of shit, wasn't it? All right, yeah, so he was a journalist. Who am I thinking of then? I'm thinking of somebody else. I know I'm thinking of somebody else. And for the life of me now. Oh, that's going to drive me mad. Oh, who's that guy I'm thinking of? He did this documentary. And it was like... Oh, God damn it. Oh, I don't know. Anyways, look. So, what's going on in A House of Dynamite is... It is the end of the world. It is literally an unattributed ICBM is heading towards the US, and the film plays out over blocks of 30 minutes. So the first 30 minutes of it, it's set inside the White House Situation Room. Rebecca Ferguson is this, military officer in plain clothes trying to basically work NORAD and work all the screens and find out exactly what's happening. And then it jumps then to, Tracy Letts' character. And he is, the head of Stratcom. And, he's just like kind of trying to work it out, as in what's going on with this with this missile and what the sort of tactical response is going to be. But then before that, you have... Anthony Ramos, who is this who works in Alaska, I think it is, in this bunker, and they fire the kill vehicle that's going to knock out the ICBM, and that's another 30 minutes, and then it goes to Jared Harris's character, and he's the Secretary of Defense, and he's trying to work out, again, make the sort of decisions, make the calls on legal stuff, and it's just... But it works in different blocks. Like at the end of the first kind of block of 30 minutes, and I don't think I'm giving this away, the missile is about to hit. And then it cuts and then goes to them, and then it cuts and it goes to them. And at the end of each kind of segment, it's literally seconds before the missile is about to hit. And it's not like, I mean, you think of other kind of, end of the world nuclear war movies, like say Threads or The Day After, where, it's about the human cost and it's about the impact and what happens afterwards. This is, the minutes leading up to it. But what it does very, very well, and what makes this like so fucking horrifying and terrifying, is that they are powerless to stop it. Like Anthony Ramos's character says, it's like trying to, when he fires his kill vehicle thing, he says it's like trying to hit a bullet with another bullet, which I think was used in The West Wing as well. But that's the analogy that they use for these things. Like once the thing gets fired, it's very difficult to stop it, if at all possible. And that's what this is. It's like the inevitability of it. Once someone hits the button, what happens? And then it kind of goes into, okay, do we fire back? Well, if we fire back, this is going to turn into a shooting war and there won't be anything left, but we have to fire now. And why would we fire now? Shouldn't we just take it? But then if we take it, then how is this going to sit without the survivors? You know, an entire city is going to be wiped out. You know, we're going to allow millions to be killed to potentially save billions and stuff like that. And it's never even kind of named, oh, you know, it's North Korea or it's China or it's Russia or it's, you know, Israel or whoever. We don't know. It's just completely unattributed. They can't necessarily tie it to any one country. And that, again, makes it even more terrifying. You know, the fact that it's not a specific enemy. We can't direct our hate towards anything in particular. It's more just that this is happening and it can't be stopped. And like the line at the start of the film, when it kind of gives the sort of the technical kind of thing, the inclination is falling to stop nuclear war. As in, like, it's horrifyingly real. And another part of this as well that kind of, you know, again, terrified me was that, you know, all the characters, every single character in this, bar maybe Idris Elba as the president, seems incredibly competent. They know what they're doing. They know their job. And yet they still can't stop this. And, you know, you look at the US and you look at all the fucking bozos that are in the Trump administration, and you look at Pete Hegseth, that dumbass, and, you know, these are the people that have access to the nuclear codes and stuff. And, you know, they are more interested in loyalty than competence. So if this movie has hyper competent people trying to stop this and they can't stop it, imagine what's happening now, where it's fucking bozos behind the wheel. Is that going to make you any more comfortable? No, it isn't, you know? So, yeah. It's brilliant. I mean, the one thing I've always said about Kathryn Bigelow, I mean, look, we could sit here and talk and debate about Zero Dark 30 and, you know, was it just agitprop for the CIA? Was it propaganda for the CIA? You know, was the Hurt Locker, you know, just a kind of a recruitment tool for the military or something? It's, you know, there's a lot going on, basically. It's just, there's a lot going on, you know? You can always kind of talk about this work, or her work rather, and it's always kind of feels very real and very vital, but you're also kind of like, should I be getting excited about this? You know, it's not it's not apolitical. You know, I you know, you think of something like, say, Alex Garland and Warfare, for example, or Civil War, you know, and that feels very pointedly political. It feels very much a statement. Whereas Kathryn Bigelow, I think, does it more sort of like war reporting. She imagines this war and then reports on it, but she doesn't put a slant on it. And sometimes you're kind of looking for a slant, you're hoping for a slant so that you can say, yes, this is this or this is that. And it doesn't give you that kind of leverage, you know. But in the case of this, A House of Dynamite, I mean, you know, we don't even know if Idris Elba's character is a Democrat or a Republican. Probably is a Democrat because he just seems very competent and stuff. But again, you know, you're kind of like, you don't even have that to put your hand on and separate, you know. I saw it in a cinema. I do think it's worth seeing in a cinema. I would imagine it would hold up on your TV, but, you know, to be trapped in a room with it, I always feel is the way to see a kind of movie like this sort of like, you know, very tense, tight thriller. Like, it turns the cinema into a pressure cooker, you know. So yeah, definitely recommend this. Great performances all around. Just fucking terrifying though. Next up, I Swear. This is about the life and times of John Davidson, who was a campaigner for Tourette's syndrome. He suffered from the disorder himself, and there was like 4 documentaries that were kind of done about his life. There was one in 1989, I want to say. They're all done by the BBC, and it was called John's Not Mad, I think it was, or something like that. It was like, it's considered to be one of the best documentaries that the BBC ever produced, but it was about his life and how he was trying to, manage Tourette's, go about his daily life, but also helped the documentary, I should say, helps to communicate, to the world, well, or at least to the UK and Ireland, that Tourette's was a real thing, that this is what people had, that they weren't mad, that they weren't crazy, that, they weren't afflicted or cursed or anything like that, but that, it was a thing that could be managed if people were just more understanding, and that it was involuntary, and that there was no known cure for it. And the film does this very, very well. It talks about, it starts off literally him as a child. He's a bright kid. He's about to have a tryout for, I think it was Rangers, because he's set in Scotland, but the onset of puberty brings on Tourette's in him, and he has vocal tics where he curses, and then he has motor tics where his arm kind of shoots out and stuff, and he his neck twitches out and everything like that. And when I was in school, a good mate of mine, Philip Kelly, he had Tourette's. Now, he had the motor tics, his arm would kind of would sort of fling out every now and then, and his leg would kind of jump up and stuff, and his face would kind of flare up a little bit, but he had it under control. And I remember there was another film called Motherless Brooklyn with Edward Norton, and it was the same thing as well. The character had Tourette's, but he was able to. One of the things I loved about it was that the character that Edward Norton was able to kind of mask it is the wrong word. He was able to fold it into jazz music because he got really into jazz. And I remember Philip, well, we call him Pip. He used to play bass in a heavy metal band. So when he was headbanging and stuff like that, I remember you could see his face kind of twitching and stuff, but he was swinging. He had long red hair, big huge shock of red hair, and he's swinging around and around and around. Cliff Burton was his hero, and his motor tics or whatever would be folded into that, and in I Swear, it doesn't shy away from the humor. I mean, the opening scene of it is him getting an MBE. And he has a tic and he goes, "Fuck the Queen," in front of the Queen. And, it's impossible not to laugh at that. That's just funny. And I think that's something that I loved about it. I mean, I really enjoyed this and I thought it was great. But one of the things I appreciated about it was the fact that it didn't shy away from the humour in it. It is, it's there. You can't deny it. I'm not saying it's always funny. I'm not saying they're kind of yucking it up for laughs or anything, but it's present, and it can't be denied, and they don't deny it. And I think that was a really, really, and that is such a fine thread, that kind of way. That's really tough to get it right. And Kirk Jones, the director of it, I think he did a fantastic job with that. He was really able to kind of match the two of them together, and not pander and not, make it seem like he was yucking it up for the sake of it. But the main guy to talk about in this film is Robert Aramayo. And you would know him from, if you're watching Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, he plays Elrond. He played a young Ned Stark in Game of Thrones. He plays John Davidson in this. And he's fantastic. The physicality that he puts into this, it's really there. And it's not yucking it up. It's not overly, well, it is, it is sharp and it's very jutting, but that's sort of the point. It feels authentic. It really does feel like that is something that he is going through. You can't deny it. That sort of way. It's very much right there. Impossible to ignore, and he can't get away from it. But yeah, this was really Maxine Peake. I've got to talk about Maxine Peake briefly. Maxine Peake, what a fucking legend. Again, brilliant in this. Peter Mullen, again, fantastic in this. It's a small enough cast. It's Maxine Peake, Peter Mullen, and Robert Aramayo is the lead. But yeah, this is really well done. It's one of these kitchen sink dramas that, has this real heart to it. And I know that you kind of think that sort of, that can sometimes feel hokey and stuff, but in this it feels very real, it feels very lived in. There's a sense of, integrity to it that British films and Irish films, when it comes to biographies, I think we do them very, very well. We're able to get that lived experience without it seeming hokey, because I think American biopics, even something like Oppenheimer, has to have a victory. It has to mean something. It has to come out the other side of it. And again, yeah, I Swear has that victory in it. It ends with him getting the MBE. He's now a campaigner and an activist. He is educating the people. He's educating everyone on Tourette's. Even through this film, he's doing it, But it doesn't... It's more... It just feels more lived in. It feels more real. It feels more authentic than I think American biopics do. Because American biopics, they need the freeze frame, the fist in the air. You need the big the big finish. Whereas this, it's no, the work continues. Yes, he has been recognized, but the work goes on, and he's still out there, and he's still doing what he needs to do and stuff. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this. This is again very very relevant. Very much a movie that has a message and has a story to it, but a great cast to go along with it. And yeah, totally worth the watch. Absolutely 100% a recommendation for it. Next up, Good Boy. You will have seen the posters. You might have seen the trailer. You might have even heard about this movie. What is going on in this is that it is essentially a straight up horror movie, ghost haunted house, except it is told from the perspective of a dog. And that, it's okay. Before I get to that, directed by Ben Leonberg. This is his directorial debut. The dog is his dog. The dog is called Indy. Great name. And I looked this up. The dog is a Nova Scotia duck-tolling retriever, right? So, what is going on in this? The dog's owner, who's called Todd, is suffering from this, lung disease. It's never said that it's COVID, but maybe you could kind of assume it's COVID. It's never really sure. He leaves New York after suffering from this disease, goes to his grandfather's cabin in the woods to recuperate, wants to be on his own. We don't get really a sense of his life other than, he's got a sister who's checking in on him, and that he just wants to be alone. He brings the dog with him. And as soon as the dog gets there, the dog is iffy. The dog is just, the ears are up. He's twitching. He's kind of looking around. There's a lot of dark shapes around the house. Some of them might be just shadows. Some of them might be trees. It's not too sure. And in a bit of sort of signposting, the sister, when she's on the phone to the owner, she kind of talks about everything that's happened in this house, and she thinks it might be haunted, and the next door neighbor as well, meets the owner of the dog out on a walk, and again he kind of says the same thing as well, and it's oh, I'm surprised he came back after everything, and he was the guy that found his father dead and all the rest of it. And the film does it very well, where you see kind of Indy, the dog, just looking straight ahead, just kind of, and then you'll see something in the background. You'll see a black shape, or it could be a hand reaches out and stuff, but the dog remains completely still. But then, when the dog is looking at something, you're looking at it as well. It's what the fuck is he looking at? And Eddie does this. This is the thing, right? Eddie does this as well sometimes, where I'll catch him just sort of looking at something. Or really what he does is Eddie barks at the window because he sees somebody walking past and he'll bark. And I'll look and I'll see the thing. But then other times I just catch him barking out the window. like, what the fuck does he see? And sometimes I would think, okay, maybe it's a squirrel or something. Like, I remember once I was out walking him, and just all of a sudden he just fucking launched. Like, he just, but like I had him on the leash, and he just started like really struggling to get forward. I was like, what the fuck are you looking at? What is it? What do you, like, he had a scent of something, but like the tail was up in the air going 90. And then I looked ahead and I could see a fucking fox. And that's what Eddie was trying to get. And then that's the thing of it. It's like, you don't realise how much, because obviously, you know, dogs have, you know, their sense of smell is so much more sharper than humans and all the rest of it. But even their sight, they're able to see things more clearly and more sharply than we can, because, you know, they were protectors. I mean, the film kind of touches on this a little bit on a documentary that the owner was watching, that, you know, since the cavemen, you know, dogs and humans have been together, and, you know, humans have used dogs to hunt, so that, you know, they have this ability to sniff out danger, or to sniff out predators, both to protect themselves, but also in a partnership with humans, you know. And again, like, that's a very primal thing, you know, that sort of way. And this is something I've always kind of, you know, had a bit of a, not an issue, but it always kind of bugged me a little bit whenever I saw dogs in movies. It always felt like a shortcut to emotions, you know, almost emotional manipulation, if I'm honest. Like, a dog's journey and a dog's purpose. You know, those films bugged the shit out of me for many, many reasons, because, you know, yeah, they're melodramas and all the rest of it, but the minute you have a dog involved, and the dog is getting old, or the dog is sick, or the dog dies, you know, it's really like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh God, it's really just, you're pulling on strings, like you're just really, really trying. And like, you know, I get it. Like, we are all, you know, you see a dog hurt or something like that, and it just kills you. It absolutely fucking kills you. And, you know, when some movies use it, it feels really like you're just doing this because you just want to get it. It's a shortcut for a cheap tear-jerking moment, you know, that sort of way. Like, there was a film, it was either this year or last year, I can't remember, but it was called The Friend, and Naomi Watts was in it, and it was all about her minding the dog of her mentor, Bill Murray. And the whole film was about her minding this dog that she didn't really necessarily want, but that her mentor had kind of dumped on her and stuff. And, you know, it's meant to be this sort of like, The Friend, I mean, is meant to be about like grief and all the rest of it. But really, it just felt very kind of like cloying, trying so hard to tug on your heartstrings, and it just didn't go anywhere, you know? And even at the end, like, and again, this is what I'm talking about, like emotional manipulation. The final scene is Naomi Watts on the beach, and the dog is kind of lying down flat, and you think the dog is dead. And then she goes, whatever the name of the dog is, and the dog just sits up, and she's like, oh, you. And then the film ends, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like, you know, it's all about her learning to accept the dog's failings, and it's sort of like, you know, this sort of parable about cancel culture, maybe, kind of, I don't know, because Bill Murray's character was a bit of a lovable rogue, and, you know, he mistreated people and stuff, and maybe the dog wasn't perfect, but she still loved him, and, you know, it's just, it was a bad film. Good Boy doesn't have that. Like, Good Boy, you know, yes, you are seeing the fear through the dog's point of view, but it's more about the dog is trying to protect its owner, and the owner just isn't getting it because the owner is just so wrapped up in his own shit. And, you know, I mean, the tagline is brilliant. What a great tagline, by the way. Trust his instincts. And the poster as well, if you've seen it, it's the dog, and it's all these hands reaching out for it. It's kind of like like one of the John Wick posters as well. It's a great poster. Like everything about this film, like it's so smart. You can tell a lot of thought has gone into it, you know. That being said, oh, and the dog is great. Indy, fantastic. 10 barks out of 10 for the dog. Fantastic, right? The problem that I had with this is that it's a great concept. It's a good movie, right? What do I mean by that? It's very evident when you're watching this that it was made on a shoestring budget. And, you know, it's not that it needed a big actor. It would have helped. It would have helped if we could connect with the owner a little bit more, because then it would make the dog protecting the owner feel, not that it doesn't feel, you know, not that you don't connect with it or whatever, but it would have given it a bit more purchase if we knew a little bit more about the owner, if we had a bit more of a sense of the owner, as opposed to it's just the owner, full stop, end of sentence. But having said that, this is a really good movie. I really do recommend going and seeing this. And I think, you know, this is the sort of thing about horror nowadays, isn't it? That, like, you know, as a genre, it's one of the few genres left really where you can do something unique and there can be some kind of art to it and you can have something to say, you know? Like, if there's a metaphor in this, I guess it's about isolation and the idea of, you know, if we get wrapped up in ourselves, don't worry, you know, someone will be, you know, you will never be alone if you have a dog. You will always have a friend. And to ignore that, to dismiss that, is to dismiss life, you know? And even to the end, dogs are faithful. And like, I always, like, you know, Jane Goodall talked about this. You know, she talked about this, is that, like, you know, her favourite animal was not the ape or even the chimp or a monkey or anything. Her favourite animal was the dog, because dogs are faithful. Dogs are the one animal that give unconditional love, and they are with us always. They will stay. If we are good to a dog, they will be good to us tenfold. And, like, you know, like, there are, you know, burial sites in Ireland. I remember reading about once. I think it was in Ireland, or it was in the UK, or it was in Wales or something. But, like, these were ancient, like, bog bodies or whatever you want to call it. And when they were brought up, dogs were buried with them, you know. And the Romans, there are, like, what do you call them? Not tapestries, mosaics of dog burial sites that the Romans offered burial rights for dogs and wrote poetry about their dogs when they died and stuff like that. So, like, again, it's one of these things that's like, I'm surprised I haven't made this sooner, you know, that kind of way. And again, not to be knocking the director, but I couldn't help but feeling as I was watching, I was like, yeah, it's a great idea. It's a fantastic idea. But I got the sense that if there was a more experienced director, or at least a more substantial director, and there was more money and more resources, it would have been better. Like, it's a good execution. It's not a great execution of a great concept. I still enjoyed it, though. I absolutely still enjoyed it. I absolutely recommend it. But, you know that, I don't know, I could not shake the feeling that it could have been brilliant, except now it's good. It's quite good, you know. I hate putting ratings on stuff. I really hate putting ratings on stuff. I would say 3.5 out of 5, you know. Like, it's a great concept, it's a good movie, but absolutely go see it. I mean, I really do recommend it, because it's definitely worth seeing. So I'll put that out there. And I'm not kicking the dog. I'm not knocking it. I just, you couldn't shake the feeling that it was made on a shoestring budget. And most of those kind of Shudder movies are. And they're able to do good stuff with it. I mean, look at Oddity, for example, you know, the Irish one, the Damon McCarthy one. Like, it you know, it can be made well. It can be made to look great. And this does look great. I mean, there's some shots in this that are fantastic. Like, and even how they kind of use Indy, in very unique ways. You know, that sort of way. Like, you do see the POV. It's from the back of his head almost. You know, and it's smart stuff. It's really, really smart stuff. Like, there's a lot of great choices in this, but I just cannot shake the feeling that it could have been brilliant. It's good now though, you know, and that's enough. You know what I mean? That's enough. Like, it's a great concept. Like, that's doing a lot of the work for it. So I don't know. Maybe I just always have to find something to fault. You know, that kind of way. Maybe I always have to dig in on something. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Anyways, so what else have I got this week? I think that's pretty much it. The John Candy documentary. Yes. As I am recording this now, the link for it just arrived in my inbox. So I guess maybe I'll talk about that next week. I don't know. We'll see how things go. But yeah, so there we are. So that's been this week's show. A little bit shorter. I hope I haven't bored you to tears with these reviews. I promise you, we have guests lined up. Once I get this fucking bathroom, it's the bathroom we're getting done, by the way. Who knew a bathroom could cause this much fucking hassle? Like, they started on Monday. This is Thursday now. They're still not finished. They're completely renovating it. And the house is just fucking covered in dust. I cannot get over the amount of dust. Yeah, I mean, you know, home ownership, it's a privilege. You know, I'm paying for the privilege. I shouldn't be griping about this. There are, you know, people that, you know, whatever. God, Jesus, I'm tying myself up in knots. Fuck. And they're so early. This is the other thing. The builders, they come so fucking early. They're coming at like 7:30 every morning, and I'm fucking exhausted. Like, Jesus Christ, I don't get up until like 8 or 9, but like 9 usually. And I don't know why I'm whispering, but like, because I feel ashamed, I guess. I sleep on a lot. I'm a night owl. You know what I mean? I'm a night owl. I don't deny that. Okay, never mind. Right. I'm gonna go now because I'm just clearly, you know, vocal stimming. Hope you're having a good week. Definitely go see A House of Dynamite. I recommend a good boy. I recommend I Swear. TRON Aries can just eat a bag of dicks. So yeah, hope you have a good rest of your week, and I will talk to you next week. See you later.